Chapter 13. The operative assigned to take care of the loose end named Ralph Warren, when he arrived at the Greyhound bus station on Virginia Avenue in Roswell, New Mexico, made his call to the faceless contact that he knew only as Mr. Richards. "Sir, he was not on the bus," the slightly built, middle-aged man exclaimed. "He what?" was the initial reply from the other end. "Check with the ticket agent and find out if he's on another bus. It's imperative that Ralph Warren be found." The phone went silent, and the man went over to talk to the ticket agent, who had no record of any transfer by Ralph Warren to another bus. "He should have been here, sir. That is, unless he got off the bus before it got here," said the agent in a disinterested voice. "How many stops did the bus make before arriving in Roswell?" asked the man. "Well, it made several stops after leaving San Antonio, sir, but that is the only place that he probably got off because they changed buses there." "Can you check to see if he had any baggage on this bus?" the man asked with a big smile. He really wanted to reach across the ticket counter and jerk the little punk selling tickets over the counter by his long, greasy hair, but it was important that the ticket agent not be able to identify him, and a bland attitude coupled with his everyman appearance almost guaranteed that after a few days had passed, the clerk would not even remember talking to him. "I can check, sir. Just give me a few minutes." And the ticket agent walked out to the bus, talked briefly with the driver, who pointed in the direction of the baggage rack by the door. When the agent walked back in, he held the gym bag that Ralph had packed for the trip and had a smug look on his face, as if to boast of his importance. The man slipped a crisp 20 to the agent in return for the bag and walked briskly to his rental car in the parking lot outside, where he made another phone call to Mr. Richards to break the bad news. "It looks like he may not have changed buses in San Antonio, sir. I have his bag, though. What do you want to do now?" he asked in an even tone, absolutely without any feeling. Whatever the job, he always finished it, and this one would be no different. "Use whatever resources you need to find him and keep me informed," Mr. Richards ended the call. The operative drove over to a cheap motel on Main Street and paid with cash. Tomorrow he would visit the UFO Museum and drive out to the Cattleman Steakhouse, two treats he had promised himself if he ever came to Roswell. Back in Columbia, South Carolina, homicide detective Alvarez Banks was working the graveyard shift and had drawn a Jonathan Oates case which looked suspicious to him. Alvarez was an overweight, dour man that had lost his wife of 20 years several winters ago. He dressed in out-of-date suits with coats that barely buttoned, rarely smiled, and ate Rolaids like candy to keep his indigestion at bay. "I need to talk to this Ralph Warren character," he said to his partner, Detective Teddy Lovelace, who took a lot of ribbing for his name from the rest of the fellows in the precinct, but was a good cop and a dedicated partner. He had been athletic 20 years before, but long hours riding a desk chair and an affection for sweet desserts had taken a toll on his physique. Both men had been on the force for over 15 years and had worked many homicides together. Detective Lovelace knew that if his partner had an intuition about a case, then it was best to let him run with it, so he said, "Al, we only know that this guy bought a round-trip ticket to Roswell, New Mexico on the day of the suicide, so it looks like he was planning on making a return." "Yeah, maybe so," Detective Banks said grudgingly, "but what if he did that to throw us off and buy some time to make a getaway? Do we have a contact number for him?" "We have a cell number, but he's not answering," replied Detective Lovelace. "Do you want to track that phone? We can probably have a location within a few minutes after getting the paperwork approved. I'll make a phone call to that cute tech Shirley, and you figure out where we are eating dinner tonight while we wait." "Okay, have Shirley call directly as soon as they have a fix, and we'll have Warren picked up," Alvarez replied, as he was running on empty, and the muddy brown office coffee that he thrived on had given him a sour stomach and sores in his mouth. Teddy made the call, and they both went over to Ernie's diner to wait. As Teddy was having his second piece of lemon meringue pie, Shirley called to tell him that the phone was in a Greyhound bus terminal in San Antonio, Texas. Alvarez told Teddy to have the locals pick Ralph up for suspicion of murder and the two men went back to their desks to wait for the confirmation from the San Antonio police that Ralph Warren was in custody. 20 minutes later, the call came, but it was not what they were expecting. The only thing in custody was Ralph's cell phone that had been found on a bus by a custodian when it was cleaned for the return trip. Alvarez thanked the officer for his help and asked him the next day FedEx the phone back to them so that their team could check it for evidence. His heartburn was back and he'd just run out of Rolaids. Just when it looked like the night couldn't get any longer, he thought to himself, "Hey, Teddy, we need to get an APB out on Warren. Can you handle that for me? I need to go downstairs and get me some Rolaids." "Sure, Al. I'll start the paperwork immediately," was Teddy's response. It was always the same. Alvarez hated the mundane parts of the job and passed those parts off to Teddy, who enjoyed them. "We really make a great team," Teddy said to no one in particular as he started working on Al's request.